right, welcome back to the Dolphins Country Podcast. And on today's episode, we will be reacting to the Dolphins' 34-10 road win over the Jets, their fourth win in a row. It's their second 34-10 road win of the season. The first one came in Atlanta over the Falcons to kind of spring this start of this win streak that we've seen here, 5 of 6 now after Miami started 1-6. So before we get into it, make sure to like and subscribe at Dolphins Country Pod on YouTube and Spotify, whichever platform you prefer. But let's get into it. So the Dolphins from jump pretty much ended this game in the first 5 minutes. I mean, this was never really ever in doubt. The Dolphins came in there, scored a touchdown on the opening drive in about 2 or 3 minutes. Tua looked sharp. Achane had a huge, broke a big 40, 50-yard run to get inside the 5-yard line. And then Tua finished it off to Waddle to cap off an easy opening drive touchdown. Then the Dolphins forced a 3-and-out. By the way, in that entire first half, the Dolphins defense was just incredible. Really, the whole game, obviously, the Dolphins defense was incredible. But in the first half, they held the Jets to 1 first down. I mean, literally, the Jets had 1 first down the entire first half. The Dolphins defense was just incredible. And again, the Dolphins offense, they capitalized in that first quarter. That was as quick a start in the first quarter that we've seen. Even in the 70-point game against Denver a few years ago, the Dolphins did not score 21 points in the first quarter. We got off to such a great start. I mean, again, the game was over in the first 5 minutes. Back-to-back touchdowns, Achane toss, hard play action, which I love, like I said, in the offense. When we're able to mix in some hard play action, and this ground game has been working. You know, Achane, this has been the Dolphins' MO these last 5 or 6 weeks. Run the ball. Tua is not throwing the ball too much, which is a recipe for winning for us right now. These 6 offensive lineman packages, no one is playing the center position better than Aaron Brewer right now. Aaron Brewer was the best player on the field yesterday. He was incredible. I mean, every single week you see Aaron Brewer out in space making plays and springing these big runs for Achane, and really anyone. Yesterday it wasn't just Achane. It was basically every single running back who got the ball. They were going for, explosive runs. I mean, it was unbelievable. Again, they are playing the Jets. I totally understand that. But that first quarter was super crisp, super sharp. Again, Tua was seeing the field really well. He's hitting the back foot. Ball's coming out. Anticipation throws. Hard play action, which is why the run game sets up the play action. I mean, they were able to, get the Jets linebackers to creep up a little bit and just gave them all sorts of problems. That looked like the 2023 Miami Dolphins offense, finally. Last week didn't. Certainly the week before that did not either against Washington and the Jets, or Washington and the Saints. First quarter yesterday looked like 2023 Miami Dolphins offense. McDaniels was getting back to, but again, they have shifted their identity. The 2023 offense was so easy, but it was all speed. It was all Tyreek Hill. It was explosive plays. Now we're getting explosive plays, but it's mostly on the ground, and we are kind of adopting this cold weather identity, which Dolphins fans have been asking for the last 4 or 5 years now. So they're finally playing like a team that can travel on the road in December, because that formula travels. Again, it's the Jets, so they won't play like that against these other teams that are coming up here. But again, against better teams, that is the formula of how you beat better teams. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, and New England is the last 4 games. But again, I want to give a lot of credit to this defense. 1 first down for the Jets in that first half. It was basically the defense for the Dolphins basically blanked the Jets yesterday. I mean, it was 34-10, but all 10 of the Jets' points came off the special teams. They had a punt return touchdown after Miami finally punted the ball for the first time all game. The Jets returned it for a touchdown. So it's like, okay, maybe Miami just shouldn't be punting because it's the only way the Jets can score. Then in the late third quarter, we forced another 3-and-out, but the Jets, I guess, were just tired of going 3-and-out, so they take the punt and on 4th and 8 inside their own 40-yard line, and they got it. And that would lead to 3 points on that drive for the Jets early fourth quarter. But other than that, this game was never even. I mean, the Jets never even got close to scoring, other than those 2, the punt return touchdown and then the fake punt, which got them 3 points. I mean, they did have a brief at the end of the first half. They were kind of creeping there, and then because there was a defensive pass interference to get him down there, and then he threw the pick. Brady Cook got in the game for the Jets, the rookie out of Missouri, and threw a pick right to Rasul Douglas with about a minute left in the first half. But other than that, the Jets were never really threatening. This Dolphins pass rush was really good. These DTs, the rookie defensive tackles, are finally coming around. I mean, this is why you got to be patient with these defensive tackles. Kenneth Grant's playing more. Zeke Biggers is playing more. Jordan Phillips. These rookies they're playing more and they're playing better. They're getting they're kind of finding their footing, if you will. Zach Sieler and Bradley Chubb were meeting at the quarterback. It felt like every single time the Jets dropped back to pass. They were awesome. This is kind of what you expect to see. This is what the Dolphins have done the last few years against bad teams. They have teed off on them, and they have ended these games relatively quickly with no issues at all. That's been the last 3 or 4 years with the Dolphins. Really, the last 3 years with McDaniel. They have been beating bad teams pretty handily until this year. This year, obviously, we've struggled to beat bad teams until this win streak. We lost to Cleveland, lost to Carolina. It's been a little bit of a rough patch there. Finally, we are able to string together some wins against bad teams, but even the wins haven't looked great. The game last week against the Saints did not look good. The game before the bye week in Madrid against the Commanders did not look good. I mean, they could have easily lost and probably should have lost both those games. Now this one was, again, easy. They sweep the Jets for the second time in the last 3 years. Last year, again, Tua didn't play against the Jets in MetLife, but when Tua plays, he does not lose to the Jets. He's now 8-0 in his career against New York. And again, it's nothing to come out here and like celebrate and throw a parade about. I mean, again, these are games you should win. So they did that, and they handled business, and they looked good doing it, which is always fun. But again, the big thing in that first half, because again, the game was over in the first half, Devon Achane's injury heading into halftime. There was about 5 minutes left second quarter. He gets rolled up on a little bit, did not play in the second half. So I don't know if that was more precautionary. McDaniel did say that Achane told him that if needed, he could have gone back in the game yesterday. They just didn't need him to. So that's good. And again, they have the extra day off, but they did hint at maybe Achane might get some rest this week for the game against Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football. But Achane in the first half, because again, he did not play the second half at all, 92 yards rushing, 105 all-purpose yards in the first half. So he was on pace for another 200-yard scrimmage day. Just an unbelievable performance, an unbelievable player that Devon Achane was. But this was all about the entire ground game for the Dolphins. Jalen Wright, welcome. This is his career day. Jalen Wright, 100 yards on the ground, 24 totes, 107 yards rushing. He was phenomenal. Ollie Gordon had a touchdown. He was really good as well. Everyone on the ground was awesome for the Dolphins today. Again, like I said, Achane only played one half of football. That is how you win games right there. If you run for over 200 yards rushing, 240 yards on the ground is what Miami had with 3 rushing touchdowns. That's how you win games. That's how Carolina's been winning games this year. Again, you can be one-dimensional. That's fine. And Tua's not playing his best football. I totally get that. And he had a couple boneheaded plays yesterday, which is kind of the norm nowadays. But he played well. He did not turn the ball over despite trying to at one point or a couple times. But he that first half was prime Tua, back to what we saw last year and the year before and the year before that. But again, only 13 to 21, did not throw the ball much, only completed 13 passes. That is the formula for the Dolphins to win. If Tua's only completing 13 passes and throwing the ball less than 20 sometimes, that means the ground game probably is working and they're on the field more and they don't have to throw the ball that much. That is the recipe for winning against these bad teams. Now again, against the good teams, you can't have 13 to 21 stat lines because I don't think he'll be running for 240 yards against these good teams. But we'll find out how that looks here in 8 days on Monday Night Football against the Steelers. Waddle got injured but came back in the game, and he had 5 for 50 and a touchdown. Dulcich has really come on. I mean, not only as a blocker, I mean, this guy he's got some yak in his game. That's obviously what we've lacked this year with no Johnny Smith, who was our yak receiver last year, or yak tight end, I should say. Darren Waller was back. He had a catch up the seam. So when Waller's back, the offense seems like it's unlocked a little bit of something. But overall, the offense was fantastic. But at least in the first half, it was. Third down offense wasn't good. That's fine. The game was out of reach early on anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But the defense was the story of the game. Again, like I said, Chubb and Sieler kept meeting at the quarterback. They were phenomenal. Jordan Brooks keeps tackling everybody in sight. Tyrell Dodson was a tackling machine as well, but he also had an unbelievable interception with his thighs in that first half to make it 21-0. Basically, give us a short field goal, 21-0. He was phenomenal. Rasul Douglas continues to put on an unbelievable season. I don't know if Dolphins fans even remember this. It wasn't that long ago. He was not on our roster. He was not on anyone's roster with 2 weeks to go before preseason. I mean, it was literally one of those things where it's like, we need corners really bad. Rasul Douglas is still out there. Asante Samuel Jr. was still out there. And the Dolphins thankfully brought in Rasul Douglas because, again, I don't know where we would be without Rasul Douglas this year in the cornerback room. He's been phenomenal. He's the only vet in the room, like I was saying before the season started. We have too many rookies, too many unproven guys that no one knows they're any good. Cam Smith, Jason Marshall. I was like, these guys are either rookies or we never seen them play in this league before, in Cam Smith's case. But Rasul Douglas has come in and he's been absolutely unbelievable. Still playing really well at his age. Ethan Bonner had a pick. Jack Jones had a nice TFL. I mean, the corners are coming around. Certainly, this was a really easy task for them yesterday against the Jets, who kind of have, not no-name receivers, but Adonai Mitchell, he's on his second team now. John Mechie on his third team now. these guys are not necessarily they're not household names per se. So you're not going up against a dominant number one guy at this point in time. But they were still good. And again, the corners, when you get 2 takeaways from your corners, that's really good, obviously. But they're also good in run fits. I mean, these are not soft corners for Miami anymore. So that's good to see. But overall, the defense as a whole was unbelievable. Again, this is not to take anything away from the fact that they are playing the Jets, and this was a backup quarterback for them, Tyrod Taylor, who was injured, and then became into their third-string quarterback, which is Brady Cook. So this is his first snaps in the NFL. So, of course, you should be doing this as a defense, but it's still nice to see. And right now, the Dolphins are 6-7. They've won 4 in a row. They've won 5 of 6. This is exactly what everyone thought they would do. When they beat Buffalo, this is exactly what everyone imagined happening. They would win the next 3 games against their 3 bad opponents and get to 6-7, which is exactly what we have done. Now we head to Pittsburgh against a team that has not lost a home Monday Night Football game in 34 years. That'll be very difficult, obviously. It'll be Monday Night Football. It'll be very, very cold, mid-December, probably temperatures in the 15s. Tough game for the Dolphins. But these are the games that I'm actually more interested in. Again, it's fun to beat up on the bad teams, but eventually that does get old. We are now, like I said, in year 4 of that. So I would like to see them go on the road and beat somebody of importance for once, on primetime for once as well. So we'll see if they do that. They've had multiple opportunities this year to do so. They had Buffalo on primetime on the road in week 3. They've had, again, games last year on the road on primetime. They have not been able to win those. So hopefully they play well. Next week on Monday Night Football against the Steelers, who are kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team every week. But the Steelers are awesome at home, especially on Monday Night Football. So I know this is going to be a very tough game to win. Again, it's also Tua was able to kill the narrative, not kill the narrative, because he was, like I said, 8-0 against the Jets, but he was also 0-7 in games, less than 45 degrees. So if it's colder than 45 degrees, he was 0-7 in those games. He's now 1-7 in those games. That's nice to see. Maybe didn't kill the narrative officially, but because it is the Jets, but he's gotten that off his back. He has now won a cold weather game in December. That's nice. Hopefully he can make it 2 in a row against the Steelers next week. As far as playoffs are concerned, I'll just touch on it real quick. It basically can't happen. Like I said, it's just you can win out and still not get in at 10-7 because they don't have any tiebreakers. For tonight's game, because I'm taping this Monday, if the Chargers win tonight, the Dolphins are essentially eliminated. They're not mathematically eliminated, but they're basically eliminated because the Bills will have 9 wins already. The Chargers, again, if they win tonight, they would have 9 wins. The Texans have 8 wins, and they still get to play the Raiders, the Cardinals, and now the Colts without their quarterback. They'll easily get to 10 wins. It would just take 3 of those teams getting to 10 wins. A combination of any 3 teams getting to 10 wins, and you obviously can't get in because they need a wild card. And like I said, Buffalo's already at 9 wins, and they play Cleveland, the Jets. So, again, it's one of those things. The Chargers have to collapse for the Dolphins to have any chance of making the playoffs right now. The Chargers are right now at 8-4. You need the Chargers to finish 9-8 or 8-9 because, like I said, the Chargers have the head-to-head over the Dolphins. So if the Chargers get to 10 wins, the Dolphins cannot pass them, essentially. So you need the Chargers to finish the season 1-4. Again, it's possible. They have a grueling last 5 games, including tonight against Philadelphia. But if they beat Philadelphia tonight, it's essentially game over. They play at Kansas City next week, and then they play the Texans, and then the Cowboys, and then the Broncos. Broncos could be rushing starters. So again, if they win tonight, they'll be 9-4, and they just need to finish the season 1-4, and they'll be fine. So if the Chargers just win tonight, they'll only need 1 more win in their last 4 weeks, which they would get. So you definitely need them to lose tonight for sure to have any chance at all at the playoffs. But again, it's probably just too little too late. I kept telling everybody that. Once you lose to Carolina and then follow it up with losing to Cleveland, that was game over, obviously. If they really wanted to run the table at 1-6, they would have had to beat Baltimore after that win against Atlanta to kind of, stack wins. But they beat Atlanta, and then they went right back to losing against Baltimore, and that kind of ended things essentially. Now they've won 4 in a row. That's really nice to see, but it's the same thing as last year. It's way too little, way too late. But overall, still nice to see. It looks like McDaniel has, secured possibly his job next season. Because again, the Dolphins love running these things back after having nice closes to seasons. So again, I wouldn't be shocked if they're all back. Doesn't excite me, but this is exactly where I was figuring we were recruiting towards a few weeks ago. So we'll see what happens. Last 4 games, I still think we'll split them and probably finish 8-9, just like we did last year. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Overall, a really nice, impressive win for the Dolphins. Can't complain about any of that. And they get an extra day off on Monday night is their next game, so they get 8 days off after this one. to relish in a nice win. So that's 4 wins in a row now, 6-7 on the season. We'll see how these last 4 games treat us. Again, just want to give another huge shout out to the offensive line. Patrick Paul has been incredible. He kind of assisted on one of those Ollie Gordon touchdowns. Austin Jackson coming back has been really nice and really big for the run game, although I just can still never trust Austin Jackson to actually stay healthy. But yeah, we'll see how next week goes against Pittsburgh. It probably will be a different tune. But as for now, go Dolphins, 6-7, 4 more games to go. Let's cherish these last 4 games because it's going to be a long offseason. So we'll see how all this plays out. But until next time, go Dolphins.